Hello guys, good evening. You remember yesterday I was preparing this doll, um and I'm just preparing because I have a market sale on 4th of April, so I'm just preparing. So you can see she's gonna have a green dress, she's gonna have a pink dress. This one I finished her already. You can see she has a purple dress and her afro is finished as well. So these are the ones that I've already prepared. It makes it easier for me to do it this way, um so I can like make it quicker. Then I prepared like the legs, and the arms. And I just realized that I only have four arms left, so only for two dolls. So I need to make, and I have 5 models, so I need to make 10 more, 10 more of these. 10 more of these. Yeah. So I hope you guys had a lovely day. I'm not going to be too long here today because, yeah, I have to go to work in the morning. But basically, I prepare everything. What's wrong? Good night. Everything. Let me see if I can watch something on Netflix. Ryan. Asante. Ryan. Why the TV's... What's the TV's on? Why is the TV still on? Asante, have you got PE tomorrow? Hi, good evening. Just try to find something to watch while I'm crocheting. Did you turn off the TV?
Yeah.
Did you brush your teeth?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, Mom. One thing, can I keep the LEDs on so I can try and solve the
No,
Rubik's Cube?
you're going to bed, right? Can you close the door, please? Hello, guys. Hi. Welcome to Innocent Missy. You do a great job. Thank you. I am crocheting. I'm preparing the arms. You see, like, yeah, preparing different arms, so it's easier for me to put them together. Let me see. I'm looking for something to watch. So yeah, the other day I was making her, you remember, if you watch my last video, she's now complete with her beautiful purple dress. And then I started this one. She's gonna have a pink dress. And then I have this one that's gonna have a pink, a green dress. But I'm just doing this, preparing them like this, and then I will complete them. And I'm just crocheting the arms today. Yeah, I don't want to crochet a full doll today. That'll be for tomorrow. So I'm just crocheting one of these arms uh, for the next dolls. I hope you guys had a nice day. I try to be here every evening just to crochet with you and like have a little conversation. And yeah. Yeah. I have a market. I have to go to London on the 4th of April to a market. So I'm making different, I'm making stock, at least 10 dolls so I can have, I have more other dolls. So I'll have like probably 20 dolls, not 20, maybe more than that. I have more than that. And then I have keychains also. So I'm just preparing the stock. I made tutorial videos. There's a playlist on my channel. Please go and watch those if you want to learn how to crochet your own doll. There's a full playlist with different episodes teaching you how to crochet step by step. I'm self-taught, so I'm only teaching you what I learned myself by myself. So yeah, if you find other places or other teachers crocheter that show you different technique, don't hesitate. Oh, this got tangled. I don't know how that happened. um, I don't know how that happened. And then I'm also using 2 millimeter crochet hook. And how did this got tangles? How did this happen? There you go. Done it. Sorry about that. So I wasn't sure tonight if I should crochet like the doll, but I think I need these arms to be. It's so annoying when I start joining the doll together and I don't have all the pieces ready to join them because I make separate. I make the parts separate and then I join them. Mm. Da, 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 da. I only come here in the evening because I work during the day and then have to attend the children, and then yeah, this is the only time I have free for myself, and I can come here for I spend like an hour before going to bed. And this is my way of just zoning out. There's so much craziness happening in the world right now, so this is my time to just come and just focus on crocheting and not think too much about everything that's going on. There's been a tragedy today at work. Someone, yeah. try to hurt themselves. And thankfully, the person is all right. But it's tough time for people, tough time in the world, tough times. Mm. Mm. Oh, yeah, I'll show you in a minute how I start these arms. How you start is very easy. I have a tutorial, like I said, there's a playlist of where how I show you how I do this. But once I finish this one, I'll show you again. So just please be patient. Over a year ago, I walked away from my corporate job as an associate director at a big law firm, earning well over $100,000 a year. I spent over a decade chasing promotions, performing for titles, earning the respect of others, building a team, becoming known in my industry, and chasing after those bonuses. And one day I decided to just walk away from it all. I quickly learned four very important lessons during this grueling time in my life. And to be honest, this is probably the first time I am openly sharing my story because it still is quite raw and real. Was this one of the biggest regrets of my life? Let's find out. Okay, before I go into the details of why I quit my 100K a year corporate job at a big four firm, I want to share something very special with you. Hi guys, I have 70 people watching. That's amazing. Thank you guys for being here. To explore what life outside corporate could look like. And there is one important thing you need to know that I see so many corporate women not truly having their finger on. And this is called the freedom number. Now, I have created a freedom number formula worksheet for you to know in under 60 minutes. And honestly, you can actually do this in under 10 minutes if you know your numbers, for you to know the exact number you need to be working towards to make your corporate job optional. Yes, I said optional. There is no need for you to be at the mercy of a paycheck, but your freedom number is truly going to be your North Star if you really want to embark on this journey with intention and create results. So if you're ready to find out what your freedom number is, I have dropped the link to the freedom number formula worksheet in the comments below, in the description below, and it is completely complimentary. So grab it, work it out, share your insights with me. I would love to know what you found out from doing this exercise. Okay, let's get back to the video. Looking back at where I started as a budding corporate Hi, Selma Mendes. Hi, good evening. Do not think I truly Welcome. Believed that I had what it took to get to Please talk to me, ask me questions. I'm just here crocheting, listening to a podcast. I used to look at these people and be like, wow. I honestly used to think that they had sort of godlike features, like they could walk on water because of all the stories, we were told, especially as newbies and analysts in the first firm I worked in, of, how hard it is, if not almost impossible, to make partner. And I dedicated my life, sort of my life's work for more than a decade, was making sure that I climbed the corporate ladder. And I did so, step by step, worked my way up from analyst to manager to senior manager to director, associate
associate director, and at some point, actually was before I made associate director, when I had my twins, I knew that I wasn't ready, but somehow I
You
just
know,
felt
I
obligated, or I felt like I needed to prove to myself and to others that I had what it took to get.
I was just talking to my my son earlier. I work full time. I work almost 7 days a week, and not because I have any choice. I have to work because things are getting so expensive. Cost of living is going higher and higher. So I have to work, and my partner also work, and we have two children. And I think last week, um, there was we were supposed to go to school in the morning for like so they have new math like technique or whatever. So they wanted to teach parents how to help their children in school at home with it, but I couldn't go, and my partner couldn't go as well because we were both working. And I just had a conversation with my son, and he just went like, "Oh, mom, um, the other day when you didn't come, I was like hoping you'll be there, but like other parents were there when you were not there." I mean, don't get me wrong, I go to all the parent evening, and when they have Christmas play, I'm always there. Um, but for this one, I couldn't. None of us, both of us, could attend, and it just broke my heart for my son to hear. My son said he was sad because I wasn't there. Um, and that's unfortunately that's the world we live in, where parent we are forced to um, pretty much abandon our children. Good afternoon, with much joy to to all the lovely people on live. Oh, thank you, Elena, Elena Crochet. Thank you. That's really kind of you. Welcome. Good evening. What are you doing? What are you doing here? So yeah, it just made me really, really sad. Uh, but again, that's just the world we're living in now. Parents are spending less and less time with their children. They don't see their children much because we spend most of our time at work. And we have to work on weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. I mean, really, like, is that even legal to have people working? I think I only have one weekend off every 6 weeks. I don't have a weekend off. So I'm always working the weekend. So the children they're in school all week, and then weekend they're at home. Instead of me spending time with them, I'm also I'm going to work, and it's really sad. I I wish things could be different. I'm working on it because I don't think I want to spend the rest of my life just like this and missing out precious time with my children. Every now and then when I can, I'll take them out. I will travel, do something together. But I wish I didn't have to work so much. And if you have to do part-time work, that's not enough. I really like to knit, Blanca. Hello, good evening, Blanca. You like to knit. I'm crocheting, but I don't quite know how to knit very well. I don't know if you mean crochet. By knitting, you mean crochet. Um, but yeah, if you are interested, Blanca, I have YouTube uh, videos. I have a playlist in my channel where you can go and watch it and learn how to crochet if you are interested. Yeah. So guys, tell me, where are you watching from? Are you also, do you like to crochet? Um, um, that's it. I think that's one done. I'm gonna start the next one. Pulling this, so that's 1, 2. So I have a couple arms here. So now I've done that one, I'm gonna show you how. Oops. I'm gonna show you how I start the arm. So I do my magic ring like this. Get my crochet needle inside. I do it different from other people, so yeah. So I do my first stitch, and then I'm gonna do 8 stitch, single stitch inside this magic ring here. So go 1. Ryan, go to bed. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have my 8 single stitch in there. I'm just gonna come and hold this string here and then pull it to close the gap in the middle. Pull it and make sure that it's completely closed. You can see it's completely closed. So now I'm gonna take my crochet hook and put it on the next one here. Close that gap. And then I'll go ahead and do single stitch all around that circle. So just do a single stitch all around it. So I've done the round, and now I can turn it. You can see then and now I have, that's the base of my, and then I'm gonna carry on doing single stitch all the way around. And just, you see now, as I go round and round, it's slowly building up that arms there. And I'm just gonna push that loose string inside because it's kind of like on my way. This one, just hide it inside so it stay out of my way.
To the top, and I was gonna, get there, come rain or sunshine, right? And I was paying a cost, right? There was a cost to that. And I know that there's this picture that we like to paint as women, especially as ambitious women. And I am not in any way trying to judge anyone because I have done this a lot too. And we like to talk about how you can do it all. You can climb up the corporate ladder and still be an incredibly successful mom, or an incredibly great mom with, great relationship with your kids. But the truth is, you only have 24 hours every single day to do all those things. And if you're dedicating 10 to 12 to 14 hours, I have literally had a partner tell me that he works 14 hours a day, and he was saying it proudly. And so, if you're going to spend 14 hours of your day dedicated towards your corporate career, there is a price that you're going to pay. And for most people, as I was just being observant of the life of these partners that I was aspiring to become, for most of them, the price that they were
So you
paying
can see
was their children, the
slowly
quality of the life that they were living.
going up.
And I knew that that
And
was
this is how
not
I
going to be
build
the story of my life.
my
So I
doll's arms.
kind of
Yeah.
just continued on, hoping that, I would one day make partner, and then 6 months later, I would be like, I'm out of here. But that is obviously not how my story happened, as you saw in the title of this video. And when I made associate director, that was when sort of the penny started to drop, like one by one by one, and I started to get so many more clues, or what I call gifts from the universe and God, that yeah, this is not the life, and it definitely was not sort of how it was painted from the outside, particularly when it comes to the pay, right? And even though the pay was so good, like no matter how much you're getting paid by an employer, it is never going to be enough. You're never going to feel free because intrinsically, the corporate system requires you to trade your labor and your time,
Mm-hmm.
which costs freedom.
I know.
So no matter how much money you're earning, there there is still going to be that price of freedom that you're going to pay, and potentially other values that you hold dear. For me, my values are family, fun, freedom, and travel.
Yeah.
Your girl loves traveling, and I was giving up all of those
What a
things, and
beautiful
I was
thing to
climbing up
do. I
this
would love to
ladder, this
learn. Hi,
proverbial
Doris.
one-digit
Hi, good
of success,
evening.
which
Hi,
I
Doris.
sort of
Good news for
cling
you. I
to
actually
when I
made
was
a series
before
of
we just
tutorial on my
content and
channel. Is
feeling like all
there's a
complete. So
series,
I stayed,
a
I
playlist
continued to
of
meet
about
people,
5 videos
I still
called How
remember
to
being
Crochet
called
a
into a
Doll.
meeting
So
in
if you go
school
there and
that was
watch
when
those,
I knew, okay,
and
this is
just
getting
start
serious.
practicing,
And I
I
was being called
myself
because my
thought
son was
I
experiencing
thought
anxiety
myself
and distress
how
in
to crochet
school,
doll. I only
and
crochet
the
dolls
teachers
basically.
were really
So
concerned, and I felt like
please
giving
go
into their
watch
anger,
that.
and I just
And if
broke
you have any
down because
question,
I
feel
felt
free
such a
to
weight of
ask
guilt,
me.
and
I
I
try to
had
be here every evening for at least
pursued
1 hour.
of
So
getting to the
yeah,
top of my
um,
career.
Doris, thank you for
But
being
at what
here, and please
cost
go
was I
watch those
paying that?
videos,
And that was one
and
of the
maybe
sort
that
of
will help you
very real and vivid
start your
moments where I
journey
could
of
tangibly
crocheting.
see the costs that I was paying, right? Because a lot of these costs you probably are maybe invisible until later on when your kids are much older. And
Mm.
I'm so grateful that God showed this to me and brought that experience into my life, because that is when I started to get really serious. I was like, okay, I need to make my way out of here. And I think energetically I was probably emitting those signs that I was not going to stay. But when it came to performance, I was still leading my team. I was still, putting in the hours. I was still doing the travel. In fact, one of the last few months of my corporate career, I stayed in a hotel for more nights than I stayed in my room. Like, that is insane. That is insane. And I still remember on one of the days, I don't even know how my son knew how to do it, but he actually FaceTimed me as I was going into a meeting. And oh my goodness, I felt so bad. I felt so bad that my son is FaceTiming me because I haven't spent good time with him for a long time, because I've just been continuing this treadmill. Like, it's like you're just feeding this beast that never gets full, because you're only as good as your last performance rating in your
No.
corporate career. And one day I woke up and I was told, you're a low performer. And 6 months before, I was at the top. I was a top performer. I had unlocked the biggest bonus of my career, and I just couldn't understand how in 6 months the tables had turned, and I needed to now make a decision, because until that point I still had this grand 2-year exit plan. There were more properties I wanted to acquire. I wanted to sort of build my passive income to a certain level. And at that point, I knew, okay, I am not going to continue doing this at the cost of my well being, because at that time, I was living for the weekends, to be honest. Even though, from a performance point of view, or, I was showing up, doing all the things, supporting my team, continuing to really be dedicated to like building a strong team, which is where I feel my strength is, and it's also in my human design, hint hint. And I just couldn't believe how the tables had turned so fast. But then at the same time, I knew, okay, I need to do something, because this is what I want to do eventually anyway. It's just that the timeline has been accelerated, and I'm thankful again to God that that has happened, because I probably would have dragged my feet again, just continuing to sort of feed that beast, and trying to validate myself by having these titles, and achieving these accolades at the cost of the very things that are most important to me in my life. So I remember carrying my resignation letter in the first meeting where we are going to have a discussion around this performance and how to turn it around. And I cowed away from, actually, someone talked me out of resigning at the time. And he was like, don't resign. Someone senior in the firm, don't resign without another job lined up. The economy is tough. I know you're a family lady. This is not the right decision for your family. Count the cost of doing this. And I sort of felt guilty, and kind of also this obligation to just continue, because this is someone who had believed in me for so long in my corporate career, and now I was sort of just bailing out anyway. Such a bad way of making decisions, which is why I'm so thankful for human design, because now I do not make decisions under pressure. I make decisions from my inner authority, which actually I'm going to be doing a series on human design very soon. So stay tuned, because this can literally transform your career, your wealth creation path, your path to freedom. It can accelerate it if you allow it to. Okay, I digress. Let's get back. And then after 2 weeks, we had a follow on meeting on sort of how I felt about it, about the decision. And, I just continued to maintain my position that based on my performance, I didn't believe I was a low performer, etc., etc. But the essence of this part of my grand, unexpected plot twist corporate exit was a very powerful question that I was asked by one of the senior leaders in the firm. And it's this 5 word question, which I would highly encourage you to actually just take a note down, because this can unlock so many powerful insights for you. And I'm so glad that that person asked me that question instead of trying to push me to staying
Just have to,
in order to
if reach
fulfill their
stages,
own
just remember
vision.
to add
And
your
it was
stuffing in
more,
there.
what do you really want? And the only word that could come out of my mouth at the time was freedom. Like, I remember just saying, freedom, I want to be free. I just want freedom, so many times. And that person listened to me, which, again, I'm so grateful for people like that in my corporate life, because maybe we wouldn't have been sitting here right now having this conversation, and sort of gave me the permission to trust that freedom didn't necessarily look like continuing to come to this corporate job that, very quickly had become something that I wasn't enjoying. I was experiencing inflammation at a level that I had never experienced in my life. I was struggling to sleep. And I knew at that point that I needed to choose me. I needed to finally say yes to me and my well being and my values over anything external that I was trying to achieve to prove my worth, to prove that I was good enough. And at that same day, I decided, okay, I'm done. I am done with this. And the next day, we flew off for our 10-year anniversary to Thailand, which was a very, very incredible way to celebrate this big decision that I had made. But what transpired after is what I did not expect. And so I was bold in knowing that I was going to, things were going to work out. I trusted. I am very faith based. So I trusted that God was going to open pathways for me or expand the pathways that I had already created. But the fear then started to come in. What if I'm not able to make money from my business, which I had started, and I started to really feel very inauthentic towards, because that coaching business that I had then, the business model was based on helping women get promoted. And now I didn't buy into the system anymore. How can I help people continue to get promoted in a system I don't believe in? And I actually completely burnt that business model down and built my coaching business. And I'm still building my coaching business from the ground up with values and things that I'm actually passionate talking about, like finance, wealth creation, investing, property investing, self mastery. And then the identity shift came in. And this probably started like 1 to 2 months afterwards. And I probably should do a separate video on the things that no one tells you about when it comes to leaving a corporate career that you've been so vested in, that you've put so much time and effort in building and growing. And now that was taken away from me, and especially in this part of the world, like 2 questions that I can guarantee you people will ask you when they meet you for the first time is, what do you do and where do you work? And now I was having this sort of identity crisis of how to answer these questions, right? Because do I say I'm a coach? Do I say I'm a consultant? Do I say I'm an investor? Am I a full-time mom? I don't even really know. I was doing all those things, but it took me a while to own and be proud of the decision I had made. And if people ask me which company I work for, to own that I work for my company, the elevator company, and I do these incredible things, and I'm able to be there for my kids, and be at the sporting events and not have to make a ton of 500 excuses every single month of why I didn't go to the sporting gala or the swimming gala, or why I didn't come to the school play and why I had to cancel the date night for the umpteenth time. And it took a minute, and I am still doing the work on being okay in my skin and in my identity without that corporate, I don't know, it's like a corporate cloud that we get so much comfort from, right? And don't realize that we're putting so much, attaching our identity to it and our worth to it. Detach that process of detachment and just being you for who you are, not for where you work, not for how much you earn, is a process in itself. Okay, if you're still listening and you're wondering, all right, she did it, how can I make this work for me? I have a guide that I want to share with you. It's called the 50 Monday Corporate Exit Guide. And in this guide, you will get very specific steps to do in the next 30 days that will set you up for confidently being able to make your paycheck optional and being able to say goodbye to your corporate job in the next 50 Mondays if you wish, right?
In the
If you
next
want to
50
do
Mondays.
something else, just creating
I
that
wish that
choice
was
in your
easy.
career and lifestyle. So
Every
grab the
time I
link
just say,
in
okay,
the
I need to
description
save.
below and
The
follow
money I
steps
saved
to
last year
the 30
working,
days
I said,
of
okay, I'm
your
saving for my
commitment
future,
towards your 50
for
Monday
my
exit plan.
exit
And after
of
30 days, I can
from my corporate
guarantee
job.
you will feel
There's
so
always
much
something
more
that
confident
happened
that
that
this
makes me
is
use that
possible
money.
for you and you
So
will
this year
actually
I'm
build
determined and say
your runway
whatever I put
towards
aside,
corporate
no matter what
exit.
happens,
Building a
I'm not gonna
business is
touch it.
not the quickest way
So
out of
if you say
corporate,
this
and
lady
it
say in
definitely
50
not the best way to
Mondays,
plan your way out of corporate into becoming your own boss and working for
let's see
yourself.
how it
In fact,
works.
I was under that whole illusion that I was going to quit and my business was going to suddenly thrive. And the truth is, most businesses don't even make it to their first year.
I
And
want to go back into
80%
my
of
fashion
businesses actually
brand, like
do
doing
not make any
creative
money
fashion
the first
brand. I
5
mean, I'm
years.
a creative
80%.
person
And
anyway.
that's a reality that
So
I had to
I
come
just want
face
to
to
go
face
back
with,
into that. The
because
job I'm doing
while
right now
my
is just
coaching business
paying the
had made
bills, but I'm not
money
enjoying it and it's
before,
taking too
I was
much
now
of my
starting from
time anyway.
scratch and
So
building a
I
name
really
for
want
myself
a
in
way
that
out,
new
but
niche
it's not
and
easy.
thought, leadership
It's really
area.
not.
And I had to come to terms with the fact that this was going to take time. And I'm
So
saying
this, I
this
have
because
like
how I eventually
3
replaced my
set
corporate
now
paycheck
of
was
my
not
doll's
through business.
arms.
In fact, very little of
I need
my
more
income right now comes from my
because I have
coaching
how
business.
many
You can
how
actually
many
watch the
dolls
Successful
left?
video
Eight I
hosted
have
where
left.
I
One,
blackmail all the 7 sources of my income and how much percentage
2,
comes from my coaching business. So most of my income right now comes from
3.
my consulting business. So I have
Could
monetized
actually
my
work.
skill set that I have built over the years in my corporate
One,
career, and I
two.
still use that
So I
today.
have
And I
one,
am very proud of it. In fact, for a good month
one,
of after
two,
leaving, I
two
didn't really want to
dolls,
talk about it because I felt that maybe it
3.
meant I
So
didn't
the
make
color
it.
of the
But then I
shoes is
realized this
like
is
an
actually my
indicator
biggest
of what the
strength
color of
and
the
selling
dress will
point.
be.
And
Like
this is
this one,
probably
you
the
know, she has
best
purple
way
shoes and
creating
her dress
a
is
solid
purple.
recurring
And
income. You
this
just need
one
to
has
leave your job
red shoes
confidently
and she
without
has a
ever having
red
to go
dress.
back, and then
So
redirect that income into your
she
active and
has
wealth
pink
system
shoes.
that will
Obviously her
pay
dress is
you
gonna be
over
pink.
time, right? Which is
And
the
the
model that
white
I'm
bit
doing,
is
and it's
just
the
their
model that
her
I teach my
pants, and
clients.
this
So
she's
that was
gonna have a green
number one
dress.
biggest lesson, and it is what
Sorry.
I am so proud of embracing, because now my clients that I work with are able to create results so much faster without this pressure that I need to figure out a winning business idea and then I need to launch it and then I need to get investors. No, you do not need any of that. You just need to monetize your skill set, the things that you know you're good at, and create recurring income, redirect that income into assets that pay you, and create wealth that way. That is so much quicker than waiting for 5 years for your business to turn around and finally start making money. Lesson number 2: success is not in the title or in the salary. This took a huge amount of learning and unlearning for me, detaching from that identity that I had carried with me for over a decade. And human design was really the tool that helped me accelerate my self-mastery in building my own version of success. And that's really what human design is about: helping you uncover your gifts, your unique gifts to the world, your potential, and how to reach that potential in a way that fulfills you without trying to copy paste someone else's definition or version of success. The paycheck is not truly yours, my friend. And I know we know this, but I came face to face with this reality that there is no secure job. For many years in my corporate career, I saw, and sometimes I was even involved in conversations around, you know, having to let people go, right? I remember once in my previous job, which was actually not in a big four, they were going through, an entire, retrenchment sort of restructuring exercise, and I was asked to list down my team members and the skills that they were good at and rank them from like highest value resource to lowest value resource. And you're just a number. I know you might want to feel so much more about yourself, but in the eyes of corporate, you are just a number, and
Yep.
all they owe you is a paycheck. They do not owe you a promise that they will pay you for the rest of
Thank you
your
for
life.
the
And
love.
when you
Thank
come to
you.
realities with that, that's when you can truly start to be so much more intentional with your paycheck and look at it as a source of investment into the next chapter in your life, because no one is ever going to be in corporate forever. You might be there until you reach retirement age, but at some point you are going to leave. And you might as well start working on it now, which brings me to my fourth learning lesson: build your runway now. Build your financial runway now. So, if you want to successfully leave your big four corporate job, not have to look back, or just have the option of doing something else, the financial runway is going to be one of the biggest things to unlock in order to do so, in order to do it successfully. And to be honest, while I talk about my 2 week exit plan, I was building my financial runway for about 3 years, since 3 years before I eventually submitted my resignation letter. I had started in property investing about 2 years before then. I had already taken down my first property, and I was in the process of taking down the next two while I was, in this process of resigning. And so I had already built the foundations of being able to independently earn outside of a corporate construct. And a lot of times you don't see that in these videos where people talk about quitting their corporate job. And I think we don't do this justice enough, but it does take preparation. And while you might want to leave in the next 6 months, the reality of your finances will determine whether that is a realistic goal or whether you might need to look for another job as a placeholder, maybe something that you are, more passionate about or more willing to stay in for another 2 years than the current place that you're working at. And that is, there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing has gone wrong, but it's such an important reality check to do. And the best way to do that reality check is by just building your financial runway. And to the $1 million question, would I go back? A few months ago, if you asked me this question, I would say absolutely no. But right now, I feel like I have gained more wisdom, and I would answer that question differently. If circumstances required me to supplement my current income from my investments with an actual job, I would absolutely do it, and I would do it with no shame. I probably wouldn't go to my previous employer, but I would do it without feeling like I have failed, because there is no failure. If you have been courageous enough to find and explore pathways to earn and to create freedom for yourself outside of your big four corporate job, that is a success in itself. And that is something to be so proud about. And going back to a corporate job after leaving does not in any way mean you have failed, right? It just means your pathway is going to look different to what you had envisaged it to look like in the first place. So that's how I would answer that question. But definitely, given the freedom that I have now, given the flexibility that I have, even in the consulting work that I do, given that I am able to earn from my properties without having to spend hours upon hours, I am so thankful that I did it. But I definitely do not see myself back in full-time employment. I hope you have found this video helpful, and if you want to know the 3 ingredients that it takes to create a system that replaces your paycheck in under 12 months like I did, replacing my paycheck in in 5 months, and now earning way more than I used to earn in my old corporate job, then I would highly recommend you watch this video where I talk about the 3 ingredients to my Rich Woman Codes methodology that is going to help you unlock that result for yourself. All right, I will see you in the next video. Ciao.
It was the moment that caught the world by surprise.
Bombshell arrest of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation.
Former Prince Andrew under arrest. The shock etched on his face.
Everybody is equal and nobody is above the law.
Questioned under caution like a common criminal.
Your Majesty, how are you feeling after your brother's arrest?
The ex-royal is the biggest casualty so far in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
It's an unprecedented moment.
A scandal that reaches from beyond the grave.
This is where the house of cards starts falling.
As the disgraced financier's dirty secrets threaten to tear down society's most powerful.
That risk for us.
Yeah.
So then that sort of led us to be able to build.
Exactly.
But when everything's sat on you,
Yeah.
I can only imagine. And like you say, you're not dealing with these MOQs, which is, we're talking acronyms, but if you're listening, you don't know what that means. It's a minimum order quantity, and that means that obviously the more that you order,
Yes.
the less each product is made for. So it makes sense to, of course, order a big volume, but that takes cash. And as a startup, it's near on impossible to do.
Yeah.
I want to talk about kind of scaling pressure and why we're sort of touching on the debt here. On paper, the products were profitable, as
Yeah.
we said.
Yeah.
But the wider business, I suppose, and you can sort of deep dive into how that looks, but the wider business had accumulated over 1.8 million in liabilities.
Yeah.
And I suppose to me, it looks like a classic scale trap, revenue growing, but costs and debts, as you touched on before, kind of growing faster. Would you say, like you say, 2023 is your on paper your best year, but also
We're still profitable that year.
exactly that, but also the time that it dawned on you that there could be a problem here.
Yeah.
When did you first sort of realise how deep the problem was? As in, like you say, it's hard to believe it when, of course, the cash flow, etc. There's a struggle, and you've been let down in certain ways with, the structure that you've had in place, but the business is still profitable. So when did it actually dawn on you that, okay, this is a problem that's kind of, the problem has scaled far beyond what I'd imagine?
Yeah, so post like those lenders basically like defaulting on us, right? Then we had to make quick decisions, because how are we now going to fund this business? Because they've literally taken cash out the bank. Revenue we'd made on Shopify did not come in because they took it. So we needed money. So you now go to short-term lending, which is then another headache or another triumph, depending on which lender it is. But they're very aggressive. So they're looking for every week or every month a certain amount promised to them. And you could almost find yourself in a place where you've just taken the money just to pay them back.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of how aggressive that payback period is. Now, of course, when you raise equity, you don't have to pay that back immediately. So that time, you have that time and space to reinvest those funds into what you're supposed to be doing, which is growing the revenues. Not even just growing the revenues, growing the top line and, of course, protecting the bottom line. But if you are trying to balance a high pressure situation where you have to pay these people back, you're picking who's getting paid. Everyone's getting paid at that point, but then you're not left with much. You're just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yes.
It was just becoming like really, really crazy. And we did scale things back, but it's like, again, an unfortunate situation happened that was out of our control. And we had to make a quick decision because things could have kind of actually gotten worse, to be fair.
And did those decisions feel super gun to head, I'd imagine,
Absolutely,
at that time?
yeah.
And how it's almost, how do we take advice? We've got mentors, we've got people that we can speak to, but actually ultimately I need to make a decision because it's paying and everyone,
I'm
that's
gonna
where the
end
kind
this
of
live in like
responsibility
the
of
next 5
being a
minutes.
leader and being a founder and knowing that you're looking
I
after a
usually
team
only come here
and
for 1 hour
a
just to
community
crochet
and
with you
customers that you
guys.
want to make sure that their orders are fulfilled in the
I'm
right
just
way and
listening
so
to
on and so forth.
podcasts because I'm trying
It's
to
there's no
learn
wiggle room.
how
Yeah,
to
Well, they say foul fast,
get
don't they?
out
That
of
like
my
pivot
corporate
and
job
that's
so I
the
can
next
be a
thing,
bit more
right?
free.
exactly.
If you
So
was
I
to sort of
listen to a lot of
look back,
podcasts and
do you
while I
think that you
crochet.
perhaps because there was a big
I appreciate you
when I
guys
look at your
being
journey, there was
here.
the scale is what I think. The way that it started, the starting with £100 in my mum's kitchen, the way that the business scaled was so impressive and so incredible. If you was to look back at it, do you think that you scaled too quickly, or was that important at the time in order to compete?
We weren't pushing that hard. If I'm being honest, because we had never even put a dime into advertising until the end of 2022.
So
Everything was organic.
Yeah.
Everything was organic. Of course, like we'd spent on other channels, like we'd done influencer marketing, things like that. But like the amount of money that you hear some brands spend on marketing, 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil on just meta ads, like we weren't even there yet, right? So we were just like, the 1 year we wanted to scale, the 1 year all of this happened. Like that was really what it was. And it's like you can't guess that timing because the thing is everything's changing all the time. But we also had something that was happening too, because again, we were manufacturers. We had our ingredients doubling in price. We had one of our main ingredients literally 50% more expensive.
Wow.
So we are literally managing.
Your margins have now.
And it's like, what? So you want me to change the formula? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to hike the prices up? Then if I hike the prices up, how's the customer going to respond to that? Because already everyone was hiking their prices up.
And also the formula is the thing that what we're nailing.
Exactly.
The formula is the thing that people love.
The stuff works.
Exactly that.
So how do you manage customer expectations, market changes, all of these things alongside, people you thought you could depend on that basically failed you.
And I see this and I understand that things happen, but I just think, gosh, as a founder myself, the fires that you're trying to constantly put out, it's like you're firefighting every day. Yeah. And that's hard to breathe. Like, that's heavy.
Yeah, and I think the reason why the pressure was even more, I guess, amountable is because we were all doing this for the first time.
Yes.
So if every team member is doing this for the first time, how is the management team going to feel? How's the founder going to feel? Because it's like, oh, you are carrying everyone, everything, which you're not supposed to. You're supposed to rely, and that doesn't mean I didn't rely on my team. Of course I relied on my team, but again, they were also doing this for the first time.
Yes.
So the expectation couldn't be like, oh, you're going to grow like 5, 6, 7 times faster than me. Now I know I'm the one that's going to be the one that's going to grow really fast. And actually that's one of my skill sets even. The fact that I can pivot, learn so quickly, get into uncomfortable situations and try and figure it out. I mean, I learned how to pitch the business in a month. Wow. And I was already underway speaking to investors, doing pitch nights, doing back-to-back calls, going into PE firms and VC firms. I was doing all of that. And I'd never done that before. But again, you're built in a way that allows you to build something like this, and then other people are there to support you based on their skill sets, but that's not their skill set. Yes. So again, if I'm looking back, I'm like, there was too much on me, because how was I supposed to do everything? How?
Yeah,
I can't do that again. I really need to rely on expertise, people who've been in the trenches before. Again, it's also the startup environment. Not everyone's for that.
Yes.
Not everyone can do that. Again, it's a quick decisions, quick this, and again, the management team had been in those environments before. But again, that means we are the ones really feeling everything on our own, really.
And also, it's so hard, and I say this constantly. It's so hard to separate emotion from business, and when you have built something and you've built the team, and not only the business but the team behind it, and that's scaled and they have sort of grown with you, it's so hard to and you know, a lot of people are better at this. I'm getting better at this, but switching that emotion off when it comes to business, and particularly, I think predominantly, I mean, no one really cares about the emotion in business when it's all great. Oh my god, I'm crying because we had amazing sales. This is a great day. That's fine. No one cares about that. No one tells you to switch it off then. It's when, for want of a better phrase, shit hits the fan. We're supposed to, you kind of lead with grace and resilience and everything else in between, and not let emotions affect our decision. But that's really hard. When you are built a certain way.
Exactly. So of course there were some team members that we had to switch out. There were others that were really here for the ride, and we did our best. So there's that, you know. And again, from going forward, it's like even now I'm like, okay, who would I build with again? Not because they're good or bad, but because they're probably gonna have the same kind of characteristics I do in a different field, because we need to lean on different expertise. But that kind of like, under pressure, I can actually make this work. It's like I didn't even know I was that good at pivoting very quickly and learning so quickly. So you had to. So now I'm like, oh, I'm actually quite comfortable. Like nothing is going to shock me or scare me now that I've seen the complete life cycle of business. Like nothing can scare me now, because the one thing I think all people fear is, what if this goes left? I've been there now. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's not even that bad.
Today, this is a walk in the park.
I mean, today, yes. 4 months after, yeah. But time will get you there.
And it almost becomes, and I've said this before, because we had a real trademarking scenario that really needed to flawed us as a business. Like, and I know that you've had that too. You've had that too, but that now to me becomes a leveler. Anything happens,
you're just
in
like,
the midst, I'm like, guys, we're making through this, we're making through this.
Exactly.
Come on, off we go.
Exactly.
And that kind of makes you pull your socks up and march a little harder. I want to talk about the restructure plan.
Yes.
Because pre-pack out means that assets move, the legal ownership transfers.
Yes.
So after that, a founder technically has no inherent rights in the new company unless they're formally granted.
Yes.
That is the official right.
Yes.
So when you agreed to the restructure itself, what did you believe that, I suppose, that you were being promised personally?
Equity. Right. So I was supposed to have equity into the business. So was the other team members.
Right.
The management team specifically. Also, anyone could earn equity depending on, well, there was some specifics around like product development and things like that. But,
which a lot of that is quite normal.
Which again, like again, if you so there's
Yeah.
like earn-outs and stuff. So also that meant our roles were also supposed to continue.
And we'll get into all of this. In the restructure, you were promised equity, and how did would your role look then? So as you move forward, and it's obviously it's different hands, but like you say, you're still there. The mission's still the same. What then is your role?
Right, guys, I'm gonna say good night.
To be honest, again,
I'll come back tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm gonna be crocheting these beautiful dolls here. I'm gonna finish them so they can look like this one here. So I'll do that tomorrow. But thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you here. I will see you all guys tomorrow. Have a good night, and see you soon. Bye bye. Bye.
It's like, oh, perfect situation. Back in the same